Hi there, welcome to another episode of Create Something Today. I'm Reika, and in today's episode, I am going to show you a printmaking technique called Monotype Printmaking. So monotype just really means it is a unique, one-of-a-kind print. We pull the print on paper. We actually draw the design on an acrylic sheet using watercolor paints, and then pull the print and then do some embellishing with some black markers and gold pens and just even graphite. So I will walk through the supplies and then I'll show you step by step how I draw this design on an acrylic sheet, pull the print, and then embellish it. So let's dive in. Okay, so here are the supplies that you will need to complete this project. You will need some watercolor paints in tubes. Any brand is fine. You will need some water containers, a couple of paint brushes, an ordinary pencil, just some copy paper where you can draw your design. You'll need an acrylic sheet, or plexiglass it's also called, so just an acrylic sheet. And then you will need printmaking paper. I like to use this brand, but you can use any brand of printmaking paper. This is Speedball. The size is 9 by 12. But I cut it down to be the size of my acrylic sheet. And you will also need a painting tray where you can mix your paints. And that's all you need to get started. Now, the first step is to do some research and come up with a design idea that you want to print. So this is my design idea. I just drew it on ordinary copy paper with an ordinary pencil, and I'm going to actually paint the design on this acrylic sheet. So I placed the acrylic sheet on the paper so that I knew the size and I could draw the outline, because ultimately this is going to be the size of my final print. So I want to make sure my design is in the correct size. So this is the first step. Just draw your design on ordinary copy paper. Now the next step is to take your acrylic sheet and place it on top of your design and just tape it down with some washi tape so that the acrylic sheet and the design will be together. And you want to be able to lift this up and move it around, so don't tape it totally to the table. So I'm going to just place my washi tape right there. And yeah, this should be good enough to hold it in place. I might just add one more piece of tape right here. Okay, now we're ready to start to prepare our acrylic sheet. Okay, next step is to take a little bit of Dawn dishwashing liquid and just, sprinkle it on there and just give it a light coating. And this just helps your watercolor paints, stick a little better to the acrylic sheet, and it just helps with the painting and printing process. Okay, now we're ready to start painting on our acrylic sheet. I recommend using tube paints. Any brand is okay. I usually tend to use a lot of Windsor Newton. I use other brands as well, but definitely use a lot of the Windsor Newton. I love working with my painting tray right here. It's ceramic, and you're just going to paint as if you're painting on paper. And just, wet your paint and brush as needed. And then once you finish painting your whole design, you want to let it completely dry. Okay, so now I have finished painting my design onto the acrylic sheet, and I'm going to let this completely dry. And then the next step, what we'll do is to dampen the art paper, the printing paper, and then pull the print. We're going to put it on top of this design and then pull the print. So that's going to be next. So I actually ended up painting my design in another colorway. This time I just used the Payne's gray and a couple of shades of green compared to the first design, which is of course a couple of different colors. So we'll see how it looks when I print it on the paper. And the paper that I'm using printmaking paper. I'm using this brand by Speedball. And this paper, it does come as in 9 by 12 inch size. But I actually cut it down. I cut it down so that it is the same size as my acrylic sheet, so it'll just be easier for me to pull the print. So now the next step, what I'm going to do is to dampen this paper and then place it on top of the acrylic sheet and then pull the print. So we'll go through that next. Okay, so now I have filled a baking tray with some cold water. You can use an aluminum tray or any kind of tray is fine. And I'm just taking my paper and I'm just going to submerge it in the water and, you know, let it soak for a couple of seconds. I want to make sure it's fully wet. I'll just reverse it on the other side. Okay, this should be good. So I will take my paper out and then just place it over here on the paper towel and get ready to print. Okay, now your damp paper, make sure you, blot it with some paper towel to remove that excess water before you place it on top of your acrylic sheet. We want it to be damp, but not, not overly wet either. Okay, so now I have my acrylic sheet with my design on it, and I'm taking my damp paper and placing it right on top. And I'm just going to press. I have a little wooden spoon here that I will just use to press a little bit more. Okay, and I'm going to just do a little peek test, and that's looking good. Check this side. Yeah, that looks good too. So I am ready to pull this print. And here we go. Here we have our first print. And what I'm probably going to do is do a little bit of embellishing. I'll probably use some Micron pens, maybe some gold pens. I'm not exactly sure yet, but I'm going to add a little bit more detail, maybe add a little more texture with some line work. So let's see what I decide to do. You can watch along and learn from that. Okay, and here's the other print. I'm going to pull this print too. So I'm going to add my paper here. Do the same thing. Press it down. Do a little peek test. And then pull this print. Okay, so here we have our second print. And same thing, I'm probably just going to let both of these prints completely dry and then come back and add some line work with some pens and maybe pencil, and I'm just going to kind of do it as I see fit as I'm embellishing it. All right, so my prints are dry, and I am now just going to use a Micron pen and possibly a gold pen, and just add some line work with the idea of adding some texture to my print. So I'm just going to, whatever comes to mind, very randomly just add this sort of line work. Now this is the finished print, embellished with some line work. I hope you enjoyed this printmaking technique and learning about it. Please hit like if you like this video. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. I will be launching some more arts and craft type of videos. So I will see you again soon.